Joey Templer used to live at Elm Farm. They used to milk cows there, and they used to take them across the main road. But today you don't do that. It's been quite busy with it since the end of the war. We didn't used to make bales and things like that. You sort of had pitching machines that put onto wagons, and people stood on top of the hay and kept building it up and building it up until they got so much on there. And then they took them to the rick and then put them up an elevator, which then they went and they sacked them on as a rick and put a roof on it and thatched it so many days, weeks later or days later, whichever was convenient. Then we about the side of combining, we used to have a combine that used to be called an Alice Chalmers. It used to have a 5-foot cut on it that was drawn by a tractor, and you have to go around the field 5 feet at a time, up some canvases up into the drum sort of was 5 foot wide, and you used to have to bag the corn off in bags and let them off on as you went round the field, and come and pick them up later on. That's one thing. Well, we all took part haymaking, and it was like harvesting as well. I mean, they used to bring tea down, the women folk used to. We all used to stop for tea and have a good old sit down with a cup of tea and things like that, and a laugh. To employ on the farm here 8 people. We used to milk 300 cows down at home farm. And I can remember when we used to go hedge laying in the winter time. I used to come over from another farm, and we used to burn all the brush up and that and sit around it with the snow on the ground and go to sleep on big heaps of wood and things like that. That's what we used to do. It used to be the winter job was laying hedges. The Shelville estate was, the landlord was Mr. John Jew Harrison, and he used to ride around the estate on a push bike. That was one thing he used to do. But I can remember once when we had the bad winter of '63. I was living down at Home Farm at that time, just got married. Lived down at Home Farm, and the lake got frozen and there was 14 inches of ice on it. And we took tractors on the ice, and we cut the trees down around the outside of it and fell on the ice, and put the tractor on and pulled them off, and it was 14 inches thick. I think all the farm workers virtually lived in farm cottages, and every farm cottage had a bit of garden, and at the bottom of the garden there always used to be a pigsty. Some of them used to keep a pig, and they used to kill that one once a year, have a pig once a year, and then they used to keep it, you know, put it in lead things and salt, put all salt in, and things like that. I can remember that we used to hang all the hams up in the attic where I used to live at Doddington, and my father used to have them down and have one down and then start and carve it, and there used to be about 3 inches of fat on it like that, and about an inch of each of lean meat. He used to have that for his breakfast. Yeah. If you can remember the mice coming down the they used to hang his hands on the girders, you know, on the roof thing. Mice used to come down, they used to bore holes straight into the hams. Very funny that was. Yeah, all the trees. But you see, all the trees are gone now. I mean, the big trees on the farm there, just across these fields just here, there used to be a great big line of elm trees, which people of today will never ever see a big elm tree. And they were colossal trees they were. Well, that's why it's called Elm Farm, just down the road. Well, the hedges used to have to be laid every year. Well, not every year, but you know, laid in rotation sort of thing. Well, it changed into, I would say, one machine would do 20 people, you know, do the job of 20 people, that's the thing, how it's sort of. I can, in Sheldwell Park, which is not far from here, it's about a 200-acre park, and there used to be 300 planes parked under all the trees under the trees in there, and back into what's called Pond Head and Whitegate. They used to take off straight up and over to Rhymers, you know, go that way. And I can remember where, to this day, where 3 planes crashed about here. So the hunt used to hunt virtually on all big landlords' farms, and they used to go from one estate to the next estate, and all the tenants couldn't say anything because that was one of the agreements they had when they took the farms, most of them, that the hunt can go over the ground. Oh, we had the good news up on a Saturday night up at Tusmore, square dancing, and then we used to go on their ways at night and go to different places after the dancing. I was in the Young Farmers at Brackley for 7 to 10 years, I suppose, and that was quite good fun. We went round to other Young Farmers' farms and their club nights, you know, they have a club night every Monday night at Brackley in that time. Well, a little bit I know about the railway. I know that it went through our farm at Goddington, and I can remember running. I was going to go skiing, so I ran from here, where I lived, to Goddington down the railway line with a dog following behind, little dog, and I looked behind and she'd gone down the badger's hole for about 2 hours to come out. There was a book that about the railway line here, and I saw this book when I was playing golf up at Buckingham one day. It belongs to somebody that's I forget where it came from. He probably came from Bletchley or something like that. He got this book, and it was all about the railway, how it was built, and all this and that. It was quite interesting. I can remember trains going down at 120 miles an hour, down through Goddington. They did. Going downhill, it was always downhill to Calvert. And you didn't have any run off the rails. All that I know that the rail workers, they used to have a mile length for 2 of them, and they used to keep the railway. It was incredible how they kept it. Used to know them just like talking to friends, these blokes, when I was a young boy. Used to take us in and have a cup of tea in their little cabins and everything. I always remember that. Yeah. Yes, I can remember at Fimley Station just down here. I can remember we used to grow sugar beet on the farm. We used to harvest the sugar beet into 4-wheel trailers. There weren't tipping trailers those days. And we used to pull them off the field with winches because it was always in winter we were doing it. And the fields were pretty wet around here. And then we used to take them up to the railway line and put them on, throw them on trucks into big high-sided trucks with forks by hand. That was quite a strenuous job, that was. And I think we had about 3 or 4 trailers about like that we used to. You had to pick the sugar beet up like that and cut the tops off and throw them into the trailers and then take them up to them and put them on the railway line. But this railway line was closed by Beecham, wasn't it?